Tonight, in a joint investigation with the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, 60 Minutes exposes the dark side of the booming cosmetic surgery industry, where patients are seduced into body-modifying surgery by celebrity doctors and cleverly staged before and after photos on social media.
Hello, I'm Janine Perrott. Welcome to Media Watch. It was the story the court said we couldn't see. Sickening accounts of cosmetic surgery gone wrong. And at the centre of efforts to stop it was the founder of Cosmetic, Dr Joseph Ajaka, who sued Nine in the New South Wales Supreme Court. And at first he was successful, with the court ordering draft copies of the program be handed over before publication, with Ajaka's lawyers arguing the stories may defame him or damage his company's reputation. Nine refused, appealed and ultimately won, with Ajaka ordered to pay Nine's costs and 60 Minutes rushing its program to air on Thursday night. But the legal action was just one part of a determined campaign to kill the story, as journalist Adele Ferguson revealed.
Patients, a GP and media friends or associates all became part of a complex plan to try to torpedo the investigation into the billion-dollar cosmetic surgery industry. Journalists from other networks, as well as Inside Nine, made calls to staff at 60 Minutes wanting to discuss the story. Some were known to be friendly with Cosmos or Ajaka.
Having resisted huge pressure and beaten Ajaka's celebrity lawyers, Nine's report revealed horror stories from former Cosmos patients and damning footage of Dr Ajaka in surgery.
His skill at the big cell might impress some, but it horrifies others.
And we found that the laser helped to tighten the skin.
While he's talking to the camera, he's shoving a long, thin instrument that is about 18 inches long backwards and forwards into the abdomen, and he's got no idea where the tip of that is at all.
As 60 Minutes executive producer Kirsty Thompson told us,
it was a big decision to air the program outside 60 Minutes' normal time slot, but given the extraordinary legal attempts that had already been undertaken to stop it, we felt we had no other option.
And with that came more stories about the dark side of cosmetic surgery in The Age and SMH, with victim stories like this from Keisha Amoa. Keisha had liposuction and a so-called Brazilian butt lift at Melbourne's Cosmos Clinic. The doctor who operated on her was Dr Riza Ahmadi, with Nine playing her desperate 000 call following the procedure.
So they're organising...
I can't die, I have got 3 kids.
What unit number are you in?
It's called Cosmos Clinic.
Oh, Cosmos Clinic. Yep, okay, I can see that one there. Okay, so is there anyone else nearby you?
No, I just had a procedure. There could be something seriously wrong. I really need to get to the hospital.
I know.
It was shocking stuff, and not only for the patient, because that's not the kind of media coverage Cosmos Clinic normally receives. As we've reported over the years, it's nearly always like this.
What's the trendiest beauty treatment of all?
The cool sculpting is a very popular procedure because there's no downtime, there's minimal discomfort, and it has a high safety profile.
Yes, that's Dr Ajaka, aka Buttman, spruiking on Sunrise. And here he is doing the same thing on Seven's The Morning Show later that year.
There's a Sports Illustrated look, which is like a small look. We have a Beyonce look, which is like a medium look, and then we have the Kim Kardashian look, which is what this girl is going for.
I love that you labelled the categories.
Well, I think it makes it easy, Kylie.
It makes it easy, yeah.
Also easy. In 2019, we criticised Seven for promoting Dr Ajaka's butt lift advocacy while failing to tell viewers of the many risks of the procedure. Dr Ajaka told us he would happily have highlighted them if Seven had asked. But as you can probably guess, interviews featuring Cosmos Clinic doctors aren't exactly forensic.
Let's start with the buttock. Is it buttock or buttocks? Because there's 2 of them, I suppose, is buttocks, right?
We've counted more than 20 interviews featuring Dr Ajaka or the Cosmos Clinic on The Morning Show over the past decade. Here's another in 2017 with a patient of Cosmos talking about the beauty of her new bum.
And so $17,000, I think, is what this costs. Money well spent?
Yes, definitely money
happy with the result.
For me. Yeah, very happy.
Oh, good on you.
Thank you.
Geez, you really did ask some hard questions there.
But it's not just TV that likes to showcase the clinic, with stories in the Daily Mail about reality TV stars going under the knife. and not being afraid of flashing the before and after shots. It's all a very long way from the 60 Minutes account of what happens when these procedures go wrong. So did the Daily Mail rip Nine's exposé and feature its powerful stories on its news site? Well, no. Strangely, it seems this is one story it can do without. As for Seven, we asked if the network will continue to feature Cosmos Clinic or Dr. Ajaka on its morning show. Seven told us,
there has never been any commercial arrangement with Dr. Ajaka or his Cosmos Clinic or anyone associated with him or the clinic. The morning show has not had the doctor on air for more than 2 years and has never had an ongoing relationship with him or the Cosmos Clinic.
No ongoing relationship? Could have fooled us. And while Dr. Ajaka may not have appeared recently, the morning show did feature one of the clinic's doctors in May last year. Let's hope this latest exposé finally acts as a wake-up call for the morning show and the other media enablers. But now, let's get an update from the sports desk with well-known Nine journalist Tony Jones.
Welcome back to Sportsbet News. It is a massive day at the Journo Tribunal. Our man on the spot is Hammy Goodman. What's the latest at AFL headquarters?
Thanks, Tony. A busy day down here as 3 of the AFL media's biggest names face the music.
That, of course, is a spoof, turning the AFL Players Tribunal on some of the stars of the AFL media. And it's a successful bit of viral marketing for the gambling firm Sportsbet, which has now clocked up more than 1.3 million views across YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. But if the tribunal is fake, the journalists featured are real, like this man.
Not for the first time, Damien Barrett fronted up to the charge of careless use of superlatives while breaking news, resulting in severe clickbaiting.
Barrett is a renowned newsbreaker on Nine, on radio and for the AFL's website. And like Jones, he was happy to play along in the name of gambling.
What did go on in there will send shockwaves through the entire industry and it will shake its foundations to its core.
And then there's Sam McClure, another from the Nine stable who's a sports writer for The Age newspaper.
Sam McClure unsuccessfully contested the embarrassing charge of operating a burner account on Twitter. This saw the panel hand down their harshest punishment of the evening, a cameo in a corporate bookmaker's social content.
Punishment indeed, though apparently McClure, like the other Nine journos, signed up willingly. Or just a bit of fun, right? That's what Damien Barrett told his podcast co-host last week.
Now, what do you say to the critics who say you're critical of...
I would have said no to it probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but in the end, it's pretty harmless, isn't it?
Harmless? Well, the harms of problem gambling and the whole betting companies have on the sport, athletes and fans, have been well documented, including by one Sam McClure.
The question is, how reliant is the AFL on wagering money? And the answer is a lot.
And where does a lot of that money come from?
Now, the AFL, as you might know, have an official wagering partner each year, and in the current deal, it's Sportsbet. They pay the AFL around $8 million a year.
Yes, the very same betting company McClure is now promoting on social media. Now, $8 million doesn't sound like a lot of money for a competition worth billions. But as McClure explained in his front page Age story only 3 months ago, gambling ads help fund those lucrative broadcast deals with partners like Nine's 3AW. While on-ground advertising and product fees from all betting agencies funnel as much as $40 million extra into the sport's coffers each year. McClure's special report inspired an Age editorial which called for immediate action.
It's time for the AFL to be transparent about exactly how much revenue comes from gambling. And it needs to wean itself off its dependence, if not entirely, then at least to some extent.
The Age is hardly alone in worrying about the role of gambling in the AFL. Others in the media have spoken out, like Tony Jones.
The governments need to get on board. They need to regulate the advertising. Drugs is an epidemic, alcohol is an epidemic, but gambling is right up there. And something needs to be done because it's ruining lives at the moment.
Huge issue, yeah. Well said, Tony.
Well said on the Today Show back in 2019. So imagine our surprise to see Jones fronting marketing for the same gambling companies he sought to nobble. The hypocrisy is stunning, but it's the conflict that's even more damning. We ask, not for the first time this year, why on earth would Nine let its talent front ads for commercial partners? Remember those happy birthday messages for Cadbury in February?
From a child of the 80s, a 90s kid.
And happy 100 years, Cadbury.
3 9 chocoholics pushing the dark stuff in ad breaks. Now 3 respected footy journalists yucking it up for Sportsbet in branded social media content. Stephen Mayne, a journalist and anti-gambling campaigner, calls it an ethical fail.
Nine should not have allowed their journalists to become commercially entangled with a large and controversial advertiser like Sportsbet. And the journalists themselves should simply have said no. You wouldn't see business journalists appearing in Big Four bank ads, so how on earth can this situation be tolerated?
Good question. We asked Sportsbet if it paid Nine, Jones, McClure and Barrett. They ignored our questions. We asked the Sportsbet stars themselves and also got no response. But on behalf of The Age, executive editor Tori Maguire called McClure's appearance
a bit of a mix-up. Sam thought he had approval to do the ad. It was not part of a commercial arrangement between The Age and Sportbet, and it's not something we'd normally allow Age journalists to participate in.
Really? Just a bit of a mix-up? Is there no shame or concern? Clearly Nine is happy for some of its journalists to push products, and that breezy culture runs the risk of undermining the important work of its other reporters, like the 60 Minutes investigation we showed you earlier. Now, speaking of betting in the media, how's Rupert Murdoch's latest gamble going? That would be the huge new transatlantic TV talk show that started so quietly.
They tried to cancel me. They tried to shut me up. And they failed. So here I am, baby. You can't cancel me.
Yes, after Piers Morgan famously quit ITV's Good Morning Britain.
Sorry, can't do this.
This is absolutely diabolical behaviour.
He walked into the arms of Rupert Murdoch to launch his Talk TV station in Britain in a deal reportedly worth $100 million. Not bad for a former Fleet Street hack. Promising to slay cancel culture, identity politics and all things woke, Morgan's new show, which airs 4 nights a week on Sky News, blasted off in April with this exclusive.
With respect, you haven't produced the hard evidence.
Excuse me. The most explosive interview of the year.
I don't think you're real.
I realise I'm not like...
Very dishonest. Let's finish up the interview.
Morgan versus
Turn
Trump.
the camera up. Very dishonest.
Only on Talk TV.
Trump wasn't impressed, accusing Morgan of deceptively editing the promo to make it look like he'd stormed out of the interview, which is exactly what the producers had done. But the fuss over that only served the show's needs, which was to snare millions of viewers for his debut in the UK, US and Australia. But only a few weeks later, the headlines were far less flattering.
The great slow-motion humiliation of Piers Morgan.
Unwatched. Piers Morgan dealt crushing blow as new show battered.
Battered, it seems, by a lack of eyeballs. Last month, the UK press was reporting Morgan's numbers had plummeted to just 10,000 viewers. Piers has fired back, urging his Twitter followers to ignore ratings, indeed ignore what he called irrelevant linear television altogether, calling his critics...
You ludicrous bunch of kale-munching, sandal-clad, woke, whiny wastrels.
And those same whiny wastrels are Morgan's main target night after night.
Prison guards asking inmates for their pronouns, police allegedly allowing suspects to choose from 67 genders, and the Labour Party at war over women can be born with a penis. Where does all this end?
Well, a few weeks ago, it came down to this. A trans activist called Piers the C word.
I'm going to leave the interview now. I kind of only came on here because I thought it would be kind of funny. But I want to say you're a and you're a fascist.
All right. Well, I apologise again to all viewers who are listening to that.
Yes, it was uncensored. We've added the beeps. So is Piers doing any better here in Australia? Short answer, no. Pulling in an average audience of just 27,000 across the 5 capital cities. Last Wednesday, for example, Uncensored managed to attract only 18,000 viewers, losing more than half the 50,000 from his local lead-in. To be fair, the show was launched here during a federal election campaign. Not that Piers seemed to notice, because Australian stories are not really his thing, which tells us a lot about the importance of local news and opinion over syndicated global commentary, which raises another fundamental problem facing the show, that it's old by the time it gets here, as we saw with the challenge to Boris Johnson's leadership last week.
This is where it's all happening tonight. The 359 Conservative MPs have now registered their vote as to whether they have confidence in Boris Johnson.
Nail-biting stuff. Good for British viewers watching live, hopeless for an Australian audience 16 hours later. But time zone delays are not the only issue. As Slate wrote last month,
Uncensored is just empty punditry and overlong interviews, a format that requires no investment and no research and no actual reporting.
Not like that hasn't worked for them before, so maybe the show is simply boring.
While Morgan attempts to present himself as a maverick, his opinions, constructed entirely for columns and self-aggrandising monologues, are boring and predictable.
Ouch. With so much money at stake, it's not surprising that rivals like the UK's Telegraph are stirring the pot by suggesting Rupert is set to pull the pin on Piers. Perhaps Australian Sky executives will find out more after having been summoned to London in coming weeks. And while Piers is a positive snowflake compared with his US Fox News counterparts, his struggling program might make news rethink about importing overseas ranters when we have plenty of our own already here. And that's all from us for tonight. There's more on our website where you can stream the program and read statements from 9 and 7. And don't forget Media Bites every Thursday. But for now, goodbye.